Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the first ever minicast on the what do I call myself? The Ken Minyard page. It's you know what? It seems so self-serving when I say that, but that's what it is.
I thought it was Old Ken.
Well, oh Ken, yeah, that's a subtitle. I've got several.
You've got
But
subtitles.
and by the way, I have a new
Mm,
tag, MAADA, Make America a Democracy Again.
okay.
I've got a hat on the way saying that.
You already ordered one?
Mhm. So let me introduce us. I've got a lot of subscribers. I don't want to brag, but 1,000 seems like a lot to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. What what
Uh,
what what have you got yourself into? I turn away, I get busy and I turn away for about, 10 minutes and suddenly what?
you know what?
You're an
You can answer it as
influencer?
you can answer it as well as I can. I guess I hit some button someplace that said I wanted to be a creator. I do not remember. I really don't remember it, but Facebook has this creator program. So I hit it, and then all of a sudden, Jesus, I was getting all these people who were responding, and now it's over 37,000 followers that I have. And it's very, I'm very appreciative of all this, but I think I hit on something. I think, people that look like me, aka old, um, are not that prevalent on social media.
No, no, you don't
They're,
see
they're,
you don't see a lot of somethings out. You can tell people, you know.
but not, I just soon not.
Well, I
No,
wasn't going to do it.
okay. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm in my 80s.
Yeah. So
I
80,
won't say.
80 somethings aren't you don't cruise around like on YouTube and
No.
these social media pages and find a lot of 80 somethings telling you what they think unless it's get off my lawn, you kids.
Well, I mostly, honestly, really wonderful, positive responses. But every day I got a couple that
Mhm.
I see that
They
aren't,
call you
and
old.
almost inevitably they will be talking about my age. You old fart, get the fuck out of here, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting that people feel completely free when they wouldn't, may hold these feelings, but they wouldn't express them against, I don't know, gays or
Oh, they would.
well, no, not publicly like this so much. They don't hesitate to go after old people. And I just find that interesting. I find it kind of amusing, actually. It doesn't bother me. I spent a whole career in talk radio, and I had a lot of that stuff.
Oh, they're telling you something you don't already know.
Right. Yeah, no, they don't have anything else to say, is what I figure,
Of
because
course.
all they do is they don't make any point. They don't argue with my conclusions,
Yeah.
but they just want to pick on me as being old. Anyway, I blocked them, so it's no big deal. But what we're going to do on this mini cast every week is take this that I've done commentaries on throughout the week and go through them with the wisdom of my son Rick added in, and I hope people will enjoy it. You ready to get started?
I suppose we can do that. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. On Sunday, the 6th of July, I did a commentary reading a response from a Texan suggesting how lives were lost in that awful flash flooding that they have. I don't even know what the figure is now, 175 and 100 and some odd missing. It's just awful. But she suggested that the government was responsible because it had cut funding for early warning personnel. That's been discussed ad nauseum since then. But what I said that I think got people going was that I think the reason they make those cuts on programs that are absolute necessities, FEMA, for instance, is because they figure if people die, it's collateral damage. It's what you're going to have to pay, the price you're going to have to pay in order to save money and get the government on a firm economic footing. And I really believe that. What do you think?
I mean, you would, except this bill that they passed, they tie it to all these tax cuts that
Hmm.
completely counter, argue against the efficiency cuts, if you will. They're stripping. You
Hmm.
see, what they're doing in the last couple of days with the State Department, right? Just taking
Hmm.
a cleaver to it. I mean, all in the interest of trimming bureaucracy and all that stuff. That would all carry a little more legitimacy if they weren't also at the other end going over that and giving billionaires who are doing pretty well by definition,
Of course,
billionaire
of
by the very definition is doing pretty well, but giving them all these tax cuts. So they're full of shit is what it amounts to.
What is it? This big ugly bill, $3 trillion over the next 10 years
Three
that we're going to
point,
be.
people, those are all speculative. Nobody knows. You can't project that far out.
But these B's and T's, billions and trillions, don't really mean. I mean, the concept of money, the kind of money that they're talking about, is so foreign to most of us that it just we're sort of numb to it, I think.
Well, yeah, and
But yeah,
then
anyway, and when they make mass cuts to programs that are for safety, there are going to be abuses in anything that you do. There are going to be abuses, but what they really want, are just people that are loyal to Trump. Did you see that the FBI is giving lie detector tests now
to their
uh,
agents, to their own
for their
people.
agents to make sure that they are Trumpers, and
Hmm.
if they've said anything bad about who is it, Cash
Ash
Patel?
Patel, yeah.
Yeah, this
Who
is
hasn't said something bad about that guy? I mean, how?
this is fascist stuff. And by
Oh,
the way, on the
well,
word fascist, huh?
fascist stuff. Just this morning, he's threatening to strip away the citizenship of Rosie O'Donnell
Why? Why is that? I
because he
didn't
doesn't
read
like Rosie O'Donnell. She's living now apparently in Ireland for the time being. She's got a home
that.
over there, and she's staying over there because she wanted to get away from the U.S.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
She's an expat.
here's the written none of that. I mean, she was born in New York to American parents, so you can't strip this just arbitrarily. You want to talk about fascism and being a king? I strip thee of your citizenship. You can't do that. You
Hmm.
cannot do that. It's not that he wouldn't
You
try.
can if you're a Nazi.
Well, yeah, that's the
That's their
point.
that, and they figure they'll just look. People, go read about the 1930s.
Oh my
Go
God.
read and
You
see.
know,
It's just a textbook example of what we're doing today. Anyway,
but
let's get
let
down.
me finish my thought on that. The only
Okay.
reason he's brought this up, two words, Jeffrey Epstein.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
why
Wants to get us, and
doing
we're going to be talking about that too. On Sunday, I did a double header. I also talked about the Trump family pyramid scheme and how with these crypto coins and
Oh
everything
my
else, that
gosh.
they've got a pyramid scheme. Scott Galloway says that they're making $1 billion. I mean, Trump is putting in his pocket $1 billion a month. I don't know if that's true, but I know that they have the crypto coins. They have the World Liberty Financial, which is a cryptocurrency internet bank. Trump will be raking in about 2 billion in another cryptocurrency deal. Foreign investment, foreign real estate deals, principally the Middle East, but a lot of other countries now joining in. It is unbelievable that this country that has an emoluments clause
What a joke.
would not would allow this to happen. I don't
Well,
know who's going to do anything about it, but that's the problem.
our founders were so wonderfully naive, I guess would be the best way to put it, to think that our system and the good nature of the American people would withstand somebody like this. That they
Yeah,
would put up that our institutions would not allow this to
they
happen.
would honor the Constitution.
Yeah,
That's what
they
they
would.
and to some degree, most of them have. Except, there was that Civil War thing that happened, but
Well, right, but that was that Civil War. I'm telling
yeah,
you, we're staring down the barrel of another one if we're not real careful.
I think so. And you've mentioned it plenty of times on our old show before. The comparison to the French Revolution here is when it's finally enough. People said, "I've had it. I don't want it with the kings and the priests and all these money people. You
The
are reducing
oligarchs,
us." Yeah,
remember
the
the bear,
oligarchs.
the land barons, the
Right,
rich, the
right.
living in the chateaus off in the countryside. They
And
all paid the price.
we are living through the greatest transfer of wealth in our history.
Hmm.
It's just unbelievable. Okay, and on the 7th, that would be Monday, on the 7th of this month, I said, if you didn't vote for Donald Trump, he hates you. And he does. He hates Democrats, and we are at least 50, probably more than that, 60% of the people that are out there, and he hates us. He hates us if you live in Chicago, if you live in Los Angeles. We see what he's doing already to Los Angeles. He's coming after you. He's coming after anybody who doesn't sing his praises, and some of them he's even not happy with.
Hmm.
So don't you think that's true?
Well, he said as much. This is probably the one true thing. I mean, you can't take anything that he says, at face value, but this one I think you can. Sometimes he's so not he's so simple-minded that he'll sometimes he often will say just what's on his mind, as outrageous as it is, and we just let it roll off because we're so used to it. But he did say, "I hate them." He said it on a what was it, a Fourth of July thing, wasn't it?
One of his greetings.
Yeah, I hate them.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Guy
I
is
mean, the
all
feeling is
about.
certainly mutual.
It's not like he's okay that he's ripping us off. He has to also pile it on by saying he hates us. He is all about revenge, and
Well,
he just
that's like the that's the least surprising thing. He just said it out loud. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, we know. We know. You didn't have to. It's like saying, "Look, it's a sunny day." You know, it's obvious. You know, we know this, and we hate you. And so, what are we going to do about it? That's basically the thing. And I'll tell you, it's remarkable with the polling being what it was against this big bullshit bill that he forced through. He threatened, the votes. I mean, you get all these performative Republicans out there saying, I'm going to vote against it. I'm going to do Lisa Murkowski and, let it go through. I don't know. Must have been Susan Collins that drew the longer straw this time or something. But he threatened you had 15 Congress people saying, I'm not voting for that. There's not a chance in hell I'm voting for that.
right,
Boom. Only
right.
what was it? Two or three of them didn't vote for it. It's so plainly obvious that he owns these people. Never mind the fact that the polling in their own districts, because of the Medicaid cuts and all that,
That's what surprises me a little bit is that even though it's going to hurt them at home, they still support this guy. They're so afraid of him. They're so intimidated.
they're more
Little
afraid of him
pussies.
than they are their own constituents. That's what
Yeah,
the bottom
yeah,
line.
yeah.
And they're afraid of him because he'll run somebody against them in a primary.
By the way, I like big bullshit Bill. I've been calling Big Ugly Bill, but BBB, big bullshit. I got to get another hat.
Oh God. How many hats do you have now?
I've got to give a whole bunch of them away because I'm getting new ones.
I even gave you one, remember?
Oh yeah.
Arrest Trump, I think it was.
Oh
You
yeah.
saw it when you were up here visiting one time, and you
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I
Yeah.
like that." I said, "Here you
I
go."
have that one somewhere. I have so
Oh, but
many.
that's so last. He was already. It happened. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was still could be very apt today, you know.
yeah. But
Hey,
think about one thing though. We are quite honestly, we have got a mob boss running the country. Look at
absolutely.
all of his deals that he cuts. He just, that's a nice, nice continent you have there, EU. Be a shame if somebody imposed, I mean, it's what it is shakedown money, this 30% tariff, and except he's shaking down, he's too stupid to understand and get it through his thick orange head that he's shaking down American citizens and people in this country who
And they're going,
consumers.
yeah, down, yeah, down. It just, I don't know. Okay, let's also on the same Monday, because the Epstein file story broke, I had to do a second one. And that was just, I mean, that he survived something like this. All of a sudden, there are no files, nothing in them. Forget it. No.
Oh,
After she had said,
they're
Pam
on
Bondi,
my desk. The list is on
they're
my
sitting
desk.
there on my desk, and I'm going to reveal it one of these days. And she was saying, just we got to get so much through it, and now they said, no, nothing there.
She said there were tens of thousands of videos that were
Yeah,
reporting.
yeah.
I
So,
mean, it's
so
just if you weren't convinced before that he is knee deep in the Epstein business with the pedophilia and the everything that goes along with it, if you weren't convinced before that he was, you should be now because of
what
the
other
reaction.
reason would there be for them to lie about this? What other reason would there be for them not to reveal it?
Of
If you
course.
And as you pointed out in one of your posts on Facebook this week, if you were being accused of what he's being accused of and were innocent, the first thing you'd want people to see is the Epstein files.
Well, that's exactly what Alan Dershowitz did. Remember, Dershowitz said when he was accused, he knew Epstein. I think he represented him at some
Yeah,
point or
yeah.
something. But he was accused of, remember the massage or something or other, and he said, "But I wore my underwear." Remember all that stuff? And he said, "But I never did. Nothing ever
Right,
untoward."
right, right.
Anyway, he came out and said, they are covering this up. He said, I want everything released. And I was mentioned in there. I want everything released. I want to see the documents. I want to see the client list. I want to see the videos. He's saying that. He further said, of course they're covering it up. They are absolutely covering it up because I know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's a good point. If you're president of the United
Of
States
course.
and you have nothing to hide, why would you not want to release that. And they were all prepared to release it, certainly, and now suddenly they're not. And you know
And
why MAGA's upset? MAGA's upset because they think they take Donald Trump at his word because they believe everything he says, that he's not in there. They want to nail Bill Clinton. They want to nail whoever some of these other left-wing politicians are that were supposedly on,
Democrats.
yeah, Democrats and Hollywood types and royalty and all that stuff.
Right.
They want them to go down, and of course, not understanding that their boy is knee deep in this stuff too. So hopefully it'll all come out. I mean, it's naive to think that Pam Bondi has the only copies of this stuff when it was around.
Oh no, look, Epstein had described Donald Trump as his best friend. Donald Trump has said he loved Epstein. He was a great guy, liked his girls a little young. Take those two statements together and take Donald Trump's proclivity to want to boink as many young ladies as he could. And what would make you think that if there are such files, he wouldn't be in them?
Well, just look at those smarmy videos of him and Epstein.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, and
Oh my
the
God.
Donald Trump dance. Okay, on the eighth by the way of July was significant because you know why? Amazon Prime Days.
Oh God, yeah, yeah.
Oh, boy, I got some bargains. I got some
Oh
good
no,
bargains.
that's like
Yeah,
Jackie, take away the credit card. I told
she bought
you.
some stuff too. She bought a dog carrier on Facebook for like 30% off. Are they still going? I don't even know when they're over because I've
Yesterday.
already bought all
It
my
ended
stuff.
yesterday as we taped
Oh,
this.
okay. Anyway, okay, back on the 8th of July, I said that you can look for CBS to become the mainstream equivalent of Fox News. That is not an overstatement. I wasn't just trying to make a point. I really believe that's going to happen because CBS, actually Paramount, who owns CBS, is in a deal to sell to what is it called? Skydance Media. Skydance Media is owned by David Ellison, whose father is
Ellison,
Larry Ellison, who is Oracle Corporation,
Oracle. Yeah.
one of the richest men in the world, and a best friend, a good friend, and backer of Donald Trump. Why would you think that once they have control of Paramount and CBS, once they have control of this, that they're not going to change it? It's going to happen. Just as when Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post and said, no, everything's going to be the same. No, didn't happen.
And now they're saying if you don't, the CEO or whatever of the Washington Post said, "Hey, if you don't like it, we understand. You can go."
Right. They wrote a very nice letter to everybody saying, don't want to be here? Fine.
If you
Bye.
don't like our new direction, you have every right
And
to leave.
and I must say, still waiting, except for the fact that Bezos stopped an editorial that they were getting ready to post, uh,
Endorsing Harris. Yeah.
endorsing Harris. Except for that, the coverage, as best as I can tell, I unsubscribed from them when they did that, but the coverage has still been pretty good and pretty hard hitting.
Well, but some of it though is what they don't cover. What do they leave out? What don't
Yeah.
they pursue? And that's stuff you'll never see really. But
But
what
you know
makes
what? I wouldn't mind if the Washington Post had a policy of publishing both sides in their editorial pages, the opinions on one side, opinions on. That's what news used to be. News isn't really what we think of it as being today, political news. It was not just a what aboutism. It was actually trying to get different opinions. And if they wanted to do that on the editorial pages, that'd be
you know
okay,
what
as
though? I
long as they
mean,
didn't interfere with the news coverage.
yeah, I don't know. The editorial to me is irrelevant. In fact, when I'm looking through stories online and I see a headline and I look at it and they'll announce opinion on the
Mhm.
on the byline or whatever, I usually scroll past because sometimes I want to see what happened, not somebody's opinion about what happened. Although maybe that's naive because the reporters are you can't help but have a certain amount of opinion that goes into what you're
Well, you
covering.
interpret what's happening.
Right.
And in order to interpret that, you
Yeah.
have to, you have to know the background and explain that. That's
Listen,
there is no such thing really as being totally objective.
the what we considered mainstream, I don't like that term necessarily, but what we're considering these days normal or traditional media has really let us down since Trump came on the scene. I mean, it's always been about ratings. You know that coming out of that world, in radio and all that. Ratings drive everything. As soon as they started going back, God, into the Cronkite years, probably when they started selling advertising on the nightly news and ratings became important because you could get more for your 30 or 60-second ads that you ran and all that. That was the beginning of the end for legitimate
Well, yeah,
media
yeah,
on the
it's
news
it's
front.
it's changed so much since the advent of cable news,
Yeah,
and particularly Fox, of course.
yeah.
And by the way, that brings us into our next day, which is Wednesday, the 9th. And it was headed "Chilling Words" on my video, and the words I was talking about were those of Trump when he had that press gaggle after his cabinet meeting. And just one little thing that people didn't pay much attention to, he said, "It's hard to have a really successful country if you have a corrupt media."
Yeah.
Now, when Trump says something like that, you got to reverse it because it's always what he's thinking. It's what he is about. He is thinking, I can control the media. The
Mhm.
CBS story we just did was one of the ways he plans to control the media. And those words are chilling because that is, as we've said time and time again, way before people were talking about it on our old Minyard and Minyard podcast, we have said, watch what's going to happen. One of the first things he's going to go
They
after
come
is
after
the
them.
media
But
because you
that's
cannot have an autocratic government, which, by the way, I wish we didn't say autocratic. I wish we'd just say fascist. You cannot have a fascist government without control of the media because
well,
if we have
that's
free
that's
media,
right out of
Thomas Jefferson.
Authoritarianism 101. What's the author that wrote the book on authoritarianism?
Oh, you mean Sinclair Lewis
No, no, no,
or
no, no. Much more recent. He's showing up on MSNBC and places
recently?
all the time. Yeah. Anyway, one of the first things that they do is they get a hold of the media. I mean, Hitler did it. He outlawed certain
Every
publications.
every it's
Every
without
strong.
exception. If you have a fascist government, without exception,
Mhm.
that's what they do. You cannot have one without control of the media
And
because if
he's
the
and he's
media is
doing
going
it.
to be free to do whatever they want and investigate and interrogate, you're not going to survive.
And he does it with a story he doesn't like. They're the enemy of the people. First of all, he's so simple-minded. Nobody watches them. They're very unpopular. The failing Washington Post, the failing New York Times, CNN. Nobody watches you anymore. Was it Caitlin Collins asked a question the other day, a very legitimate question, straight ahead when it was announced. Remember that they were going to restart some aid to Ukraine, military aid. And Kalen Collins says, "Who authorized stopping the aid in the first place?"
Hmm.
And he said, "I don't know. Why don't you tell me?"
All right.
And then he said, "That's a very nasty question, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a nasty
And you're from
question."
the very low rated
Yeah, low
CNN.
rate. And he always said, if you never notice, when he's in a group of reporters and somebody, usually a good-looking woman asks the question because he picks them, and they'll ask him a question he doesn't like. He'll say, "Who you with? Who you with?" He
Mhm.
always wants to know the outlet that's at,
Source. Yeah. And that is his diversion. He doesn't
Of
generally have to
course.
answer the question
Well,
that way.
he's a moron. I mean, he doesn't know the answer to these things, and he had no idea that his administration had suspended aid to Ukraine. He had no idea. He didn't know. And so
Mhm.
when they asked who authorized it, he talked out of both sides of his mouth. He said, "I don't know. You tell me." And then he said, "Everything that happens around here, I authorize." No, so full of crap, and his people know it. I mean, as evil as he is, he's an idiot. It's the people that are behind this curtain, that are pulling the strings.
2025, Project
Project
2025, Stephen Miller.
2025. Well, Stephen Miller's the most prominent one, but even there's a scores of people you've never heard of
Mhm.
pulling
Peter
strings for
Peter
him.
Thiel is one. I don't know if he's a Project 2025, but he is certainly one that very few people know about, who is one of the most powerful people in government right now behind
These
the
are
curtain.
all, in other times, and if history repeats itself, these are the people who are going to be falling out of windows, off of roofs. These are
Once they
people
fall
who
out of favor.
they are people who are going to be,
Unless we do something,
well,
get rid of this or get rid of the power of this guy, and that's the election next year. We'll talk about that. But
yeah.
I want to on Thursday and Friday of this week, the 10th and 11th, I had a two-parter. What would you do? My premise was back to the CBS story. If you were, what's her name? Carrie. Um, Redstone.
Oh,
Redstone.
Redstone.
That
Yeah.
was the family that owned Viacom that sold to Paramount in the first place. She owns significant enough amount of shares of Paramount that it needs her approval in order for this deal to go through. Now she's worth, I read up on it, $500 million. They don't know for sure. But if she votes in order, if she sustains this deal, she stands to make $2 billion, payday of $2 billion. And I said, if she were the most liberal person in the world, would she turn this down, given that she'd be turning down $2 billion? And then I said, what would you do? What would I do? I like to say that I wouldn't take it. And
Yeah.
by the way, most of the responses I got from people, they said, I don't care what it is, I wouldn't do it. Would really? Are
Bullshit.
you sure?
Bullshit.
Yeah, I would have to think about what else I could do and rationalize it that
Well,
way.
the way you rationalize it is, I'm not gonna be responsible for the turn they take. That's on them. They own it now. They can do what they want. I am selling what I built, and that's
I'm sure if I would think to myself, would Rick and Dana, they would be so proud of me if I turned it down.
yeah, yeah. Our inheritance. We'd
But
say
you wouldn't have the money, but you'd have the knowledge that your
that
father
he did.
stood
He
for
stood
something.
for something. Yeah, yeah. He stood for something. Well, we're complaining about egg prices down the road, and yeah,
Okay.
listen, the way I dealt with it is I canceled my I didn't or I'm tired of getting hit with these upgrade to Paramount Plus solicitations, and
Mhm.
now I feel really good about not doing it. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Now, that brings us to our topic yesterday, and that was questions, 5 questions for Christy Nome. So we'll go through them one by one. Let me just read them off for you, and you get your response. To Christy Nome, Madam Secretary, why did ICE come to my area yesterday, complete with tear gas and rubber bullets and gigantic bus, to haul away workers at a cannabis farm without warrants? What was your criteria, that they had brown skin? Why did your federale show up at our local hospital, St. John's, our hospital?
And they hold out two patients in there.
I heard, then after that, I heard there was just one.
Oh,
But the point is, there were crowds gathered there too. I don't know how they knew they were coming, but the local police were defending were defending the ICE people rather than holding the ICE people back from going into the hospital. That's kind of fucked, isn't
well,
it?
yeah, it is. And that's something that the local community, the people that are organizing the protest, need to turn toward their local police chief, city council, mayor, sheriff. Sheriffs are elected.
Hmm.
And you need to, and so is the mayor and city council and all that. And you need to put the pressure on them. Whoa, 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 whoa. Our police, who we pay with our tax dollars, are backing these thugs that we don't even know who they are, wearing masks and not no warrants and all this other stuff. Put that's where you need to turn your attention and put the pressure on them. There have been communities where the police have turned to the ICE people and said, "Out, no, we're not going to do it." I read a couple of stories about that.
ICE, they all dress in black, and I was just
Huh?
thinking, is that the
Sometimes it's
proper
camo.
color? Because that's the SS troops, black. I think they're more SA. They
I
should be
think I
brown.
think those are the border patrol. I think ICE. I think these meatballs are dressed in
But they're
camo.
black in black. They're like the SS troops.
Well, the one that's the border agents. I think that's their uniform. Is
No, the ICE guys that show up,
not all
aren't
of
they
them.
dressed
Some
in
well,
black?
who are the guys in the camouflage
Oh,
then?
well, that's different. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that would be the SS of today.
yeah, I know. But there's a lot of those too. That's the point. We don't know. We don't know much about these guys.
Okay, I'm going to get to that. Question number two: why do your ICE thugs wear masks?
Yeah,
They have answered that question by saying, well, they wear masks because people are wanting their identities. They're going to go to their homes, they're going to out them, and
yeah.
so on. And you know what? We have police. How many did I say? 720,000 police and sheriff's officers in this country. What would you do if they showed up to your house after a burglary or something wearing masks?
Well,
Or
sure.
if
You
highway
and if
patrol,
you were armed, you'd shoot them.
we have 61,000 highway patrolmen, or whatever they call them in your state.
Troopers.
And what would you do if you were pulled over for a traffic stop and the guy got out of the car wearing a mask?
Carrying a gun, wearing a mask. Yeah.
Here in California, you're by law, office police officers are supposed to have their name available and a badge, and they don't wear masks. So come on with that.
Well, I
What
mean,
is the point?
you know,
So
I
you look
saw
tough.
watching some of these Ukraine Russia videos, and you see if protests ever dare pop up around Moscow from young people or whatever, the police that converge on them are all dressed in black, wearing masks,
Mhm.
carrying their sticks and their helmets and their,
It's the way fascists do it.
that's Putin's thugs. Yep, yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, question number three. Why do you take residents all over America and disappear them to a foreign country without giving them their due process? Facing your accuser? Why? What is the answer, Secretary Nome, to that? How can we do that? How can we possibly do that when they raided out here at the cannabis farm? What did they have? What
By
did they
the
say?
way, one of those workers just died. Did you know
I
that?
know, just
He
died,
just
fell off a roof
Yeah,
trying to
he's trying to get
escape.
away and he ends up breaking his neck and a bunch of other things. He's dead now.
So they've had a bus full of these farm workers that they took away. They didn't have warrants. How would you think they identified them? Wouldn't it just have to be the brown
Well,
skin?
of course, absolutely, yes. And
And then they
there's
take
some
them away.
word. By the way,
Uh,
there's some indication that the owner of that place, who is a supporter, apparently sent some money to Trump. In fact, you've got Nancy Mason, Gavin Newsom going back and forth on who he supported. Apparently
mhm.
he might have given some money to Newsom, but he also supported Trump, and he was pictured with Nancy Mason, all this. Anyway, that guy, there's some word that he cooperated and maybe was in league with the raids, even though these are his workers out on his farm. I don't understand that,
But
but
it's just this is America. This is America. If you're not outraged, why not?
absolutely, that's my point. We are so far gone down that rabbit hole now. It's like, eh, what's it going to take? I mean,
Oh, it's building. Believe me, it's building. That 37,000 plus figure that I've got followers of this conversation, this ongoing conversation, are indications that it is happening, that people are
I,
starting to,
I need
and
to I need to step away to let my dog out. Hold on. This is live TV.
okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live Minyard and Minyard minicast that we're going to feature every week, and you'll see it's not planned. And it is you're getting a picture now of Rick's beautiful abode. And are you back now?
I'm back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a nice little break, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Gave me a chance to explain people who just wandered in here. What the hell is this all about?
I don't know if I can pause this even. Can I pause it?
We were just talking about all these people that are disappeared. That's a term that you've heard used against other countries in the past. That's what's happening here. Now, I would like to know, once you take these people, Secretary Nome, why are you so proud of sending them to the worst prisons on earth? That what is it called? SICAT in El Salvador. This is everybody describes it as being a hellhole
Well,
where
they're
they're
talking. They're
beaten
talking.
and shaved and deprived of basic
That's the
necessities.
point. That is the point. It's the cruelty is their point. These are vicious, evil people. Now, this is so blatantly unconstitutional, blatantly, but it only means something if they Nome and Trump and Miller and who's the asshole that heads up that you know who I'm talking about, heads up the DHS or whatever he is. These people have to pay a price at the end of this. There has to be Nuremberg style, tribunals. We've got to hold them accountable, and by all means, get somebody other than Garrett, Merrick Garland, I should say, to
Mhm.
to head this up. But get somebody who is pissed off, who is going to deal with this in the right way, because these people need to pay for this. This is outrageous, unacceptable, and we can't let it ever happen again.
And you thought I was radical, friends. Listen to my son.
No, I'm serious. I'm not talking. I haven't said what but they need to be locked up. This
You
is
know what this thinking really goes back to. I'm reading a book by one of the guys on The Rest is History.
Oh
His
yeah,
name-
Holland. Is it Holland?
he wrote a book called Dominion, and he talks about uh, uh, the times in the Roman Empire just before Christ. and how they used to their prisoners, their slaves that they would take, and they would make spectacles of them, not just in the arena, but they would nail them to crosses and just abuse them in the worst possible way, humiliate them, strip them naked, parade them through the streets, and then nail them to the cross. And they did that. They did that because they thought this would deter other people, but it didn't do it. It never works that way. It just inflames people. And this is the 2025 version of that kind of thinking.
Well, remember, Christy Nome is the semi-human that shot her dog. Remember that?
Yeah.
She murdered her dog because
And you know what? That pissed people off more than anything else she's done. I mean, me
absolutely.
too.
Oh
But
no, it pissed off people who are cheering what she's doing now to
yeah,
these
yeah.
these immigrants. You bet.
Everybody's allowed one dog murder,
Well,
apparently.
and again, if nothing else, aren't you pissed that you were lied to yet again? They were supposed to be doing this for criminals. We all kind of said, well, yeah, we want criminals out of here. Sure, we do. We want criminals to be found and rounded up. Yeah, that's but they've run out of criminals. They can't find them. It's a little too tough. Let's go after Maria, who's nanny for this little kid in MacArthur Park. Go grab Maria.
Yeah.
And the poor guys that are out and trying to find work at Home Depot, day laborers and whatnot. Let's grab them. That's they're first of all, ICE and you border types and whoever you are, you're lazy. You're lazy. You're going to car washes and guys that are washing cars and drying them off at the end. You're chasing them down and farm workers out there. You're lazy. Go get the criminals, you assholes. Go get the bad guys. This is going to come back on you. If you think that you're going to be able to use down the road the excuse that you were only following orders, how did that work 80 years ago?
And my final, well, I actually had a bonus question, but my final question to Christy Nome was really more of an admonition. I said, just remember when you get on the bad side, and you will, of these guys, just remember once they taste blood, they need more and more and more of it. These white nationalists who call themselves MAGA, who call themselves supporters of this government, that's what you are. You want a country that's lily white. You are like Hitler in the sense he was getting rid of the Jews. You're getting rid of the immigrants because you want to look out and see a sea of white faces. And
Listen, that let's be completely honest and tap into what you know is real. That's what they mean by make America great again.
of course,
That's
of
all
course,
they mean.
it's
I
what
love
Hitler meant. Didn't he use that term too? It's been
I
used
think it
before in the
made
past.
Germany great again. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
believe
he
you're
did.
absolutely right. But it's a purity thing. That's all it is. And they know it's politically incorrect. They can't quite go that far to say it, but that's exactly what they mean. That's 100% what they mean.
And
There's no getting around it.
finally, I had this bonus question for Secretary Nome. What's with those lips?
Oh God, that's the MAGA. That's the MAGA makeover. Look at all the women in MAGA. Look at what's her name? Oh, who's that one that's running around that pissing everybody off? Laura Loomer.
Oh, right.
You
Oh,
see
yeah.
the before
I
and
haven't
after
heard
on
of that.
her.
Yeah.
Before and after on her. What is it? Every woman in that
Well,
world has
how
to.
about Jeff Bezos' wife? Did you
Yeah,
ever see a
Lauren
picture of her
Sanchez.
when he met her?
Yeah.
She was very pretty.
Oh no, they have
She
to just.
had she first of all did the boob job. She had these bulging tits that he liked to show off,
Sure.
and then she got those lips
Oh yeah,
done.
no, it's that Botox stuff. What
They're not
about
collagen, right?
what about Caroline Levitt, the little press secretary chick? Have you seen
I
her? Her
I
before
haven't actually. I
look at
haven't
her
had.
before and afters. They turn into these creatures. They
Okay, but not just. I mean, this is now not to just blame the Trump people for that. This is catching on around. There's the sweetest young girl, lady. She's early 20s, I guess, that works at a place where we frequent, and she's just the sweetest thing in the world. But she's got lips like like a
oh,
clown,
no,
and she would
that's a
be
thing. You
what
should
is it?
know. You hang out with these influencers on
What
YouTube
is?
and stuff.
But what makes them think that looks good?
I don't know.
What makes them? I mean, I would be embarrassed to hire them, and if I had them and they did that, could I fire them?
You know
Just
what
put
it
them in the
is?
back somewhere
You know
anyway.
what it is? It's the modern day. Look what Michael Jackson did to himself. Look,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
Look at
true.
look
Very
at
good
what
point.
Wayne Newton did to himself. Barry Manilow. Look at these, they've got to keep that going. And once you've
Well,
started,
the
you got
answer
to
to
keep
that
going.
is if you don't do that, you might end up looking like me.
You mean normal? You mean you might age normally, but that's the thing. That's what these influencers, the Kardashians, the Jenners,
I talked to a friend who just got back from Paris yesterday, and she said over there it's really they have these beautiful women, and they see beauty as differently than we do. They don't see it as being these sort of, oh, I don't know. I wanted to say Orange County, but I should. That's not.
well, no, it's the Real Housewives of Orange County.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah. And she said they let themselves age gracefully, and
yes,
it's so attractive. I don't know.
elegantly,
Yeah.
look, there's nothing more. That's just pathetic to me. It's completely pathetic. It's like, oh well, I mean, look at my head. I when I started going bald, what I do, I shaved it. It's like I'm not going to fight that. You remember
I wear hats.
yeah, well, you've got hair though,
Mhm.
but we all have known people like this who've started going bald and they go to every hair treatment they can. The plugs, you've seen the people with the plugs and the rug that looks like like a Trump. He's fought it forever.
I used to work for somebody, turned out to be a very good friend, but he was the boss. And he was bald, and over a weekend, one day on Monday, he came in with hair, with just hair and not really
It
good
was a
hair.
hat. It was a hat, is what
But
it was.
the word went out: don't say anything about his wig. He was very sensitive about it. But how could you not notice?
Well,
You'd seen him
wasn't this
days before
he
bald.
announced it before, I think, when you played racquetball one time. He said, "No, I
Oh,
don't no,
he kept.
I don't wear my hair when I
Yeah,
play racquetball."
yeah.
He had to sort of clear the air on that.
He thought I didn't know, I guess. No, I think you do.
You wear a rug?
Right. Okay, I think we've covered it all. This has been fun. We got to do this again next week, okay?
All right, yeah, assuming the creek don't rise
And your dog behaves.
yeah, I know. I mean, he's an old man. I have to defer to him every once in a while.
This has been the Minyard Minicast. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll have a new commentary tomorrow. Bye
See
bye.
you.